Alrighty, YouTube. What I'm doing today is gonna be getting this engine. I'm gonna be jabbing this stupid thing in here, and we'll finally be going forward on the mounting of this engine. So let's get to it. Okay, so it's time to do something. So this is the oil pan that I ended up modifying. I just need to bolt it on loosely to make sure it's gonna work. I'm thinking what I want to try to do is just get these motor mounts for the engine, that's these two bolts here, kind of centered with the ones that are here already. That's how the 2.5 was mounted in there, so I think it'll work nicely for the 3 liter. If you can see too, the oil pan is just clearing that cross member right about here. So that's kind of where the old one was anyways. I'm gonna go put a jack underneath the transmission and get this so it's sitting along the right plane, and then we'll see how the front half looks. It's too far back now. You can see my centering here is just slightly off, and the oil pan is touching the cross member right there. Here's where the fun begins, friends. Okay, this is gonna take a lot more fiddling than I thought I was going to. I'm gonna play with this off camera to get it to a position where I think it's gonna be good, and then I'll come back and I'll show you. Okay, so I pulled the engine back out, and I also want to gut the interior. I say gut, it's just a bench seat that's gotta come out, so I can get to cutting a hole in the floor to see where my shifter is gonna be, and also just making my life a little easier to work. One of the first things I ever made for Rat 10, just a set of movie theater style cup holders. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to use them. It's definitely very obvious that a small block bell housing was never meant to be in this truck. There's loads of room in some ways. As you can see, there's lots around the back on this side. I need to get a different bolt for here because it's got a stud that's currently hitting the floor. It's touching right up in here as well. I can bend this lip under to get a little bit of more room. I don't know if I'm gonna need it. Not a lot of room underneath the oil pan to the cross member. I mean, like, there's room. So I compared the frame to the rear end and the back, which are parallel with each other, and I need to match the transmission to that to get my driveline angle at least parallel to itself. The issue I'm running into is that in order to get it that level, I need to close up that gap on the oil pan by either picking up the rear of the transmission or dropping the front of the engine, and I can only go so low on the front of the engine so that I still have clearance. I mean, it can be pretty close. Just starting to hit the floor up top there. We aren't touching yet. I think that this still's got some wiggle, and it does, but it is touching right back in here somewhere. I had already planned to open this up a little bit and just make the trans tunnel a little larger. The shifter's gonna end up like somewhere back here, I think. We're splitting hairs, it's gonna be close. I'm gonna play with it a little bit more and then come back once I have something worked out. Okie dokie. Well, I seem to have kind of bucked myself, for lack of a better term, because of how I have my differential mounted. I have it mounted such that it's parallel to the frame, so I can have, you know, proper suspension geometry and whatnot. This transmission is so long that I can't tilt it to the same angle to get it parallel to the frame without it currently touching the floor. And my oil pan is currently touching the cross member there, so I can't tilt this anymore. My only option right now is to cut out most of this transmission tunnel so I can get it to the angle I want, and then I'll have to rebuild that later. Oh, that's wider than I thought it was. Holy, that's a big boy. Holy crap, man. Oh well. Yeah, let's get more of the floor, I guess. There we go. Now you might be wondering, Isn't this extremely destructive to my already pretty mint cab? And to that I would have to say yes. Yes, that is a hole. It is how much room I need to make that work. I might be doing the drive shaft tunnel as well. After cutting that giant hole in the floor, I played with the transmission a bit off camera. I have lots of room except for one thing. This ZF6 has what's known as a CAGS solenoid, or that's the acronym. What it stands for is Computer Aided Gear Selection. And this thing right here, at low RPMs to help with fuel economy, this would only let you shift from first into fourth at low RPMs, and the computer controlled it. That solenoid, A, is annoying, but B, it's hitting on my transmission tunnel, and I want to see if I can remove it and either plug it or just cut it and make something work. It does look like it has two flats here, but I don't think I have a wrench that big that's skinny. We're just gonna put something on the outside of this and try to spin it. Well, this is already kind of junk anyways, isn't it? Oh, they don't make this easy, do they? Ooh, 1 1/8". I don't know if I have a wrench that big at home. That would actually work if I could get it on. I don't know if I can do this while it's floating. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, boy. Oh, there's a spring in there. There's a piston in there. That's out of my way now. Oh, that piston fell out. Keep this guy in here. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I made a tool. I can't get at it from this side. I have to get at it from this side. Watch that be too much. Yeah, it was too much. Oh well, maybe that'll work. But you never know. Get out, really? Oh, that's funny. Look at that. Ain't that the stupidest wrench you ever saw? Now what's in here is the scary part. Uh-oh. A little piston and a little teeny spring in here. So the natural position of this, based on this guy, because it's computer controlled, I'm going to say the computer probably actuates this solenoid, pushing this piston in. So natural position in theory should be out. I know what a lot of people do, you can buy an eliminator kit for this solenoid, which literally you just unplug this and you put a shunt in the computer plug to trick the computer to think this is plugged in. I'm gonna go on a whim and say the default position of the solenoid is disengaged. So I should just be able to put a plug in there. Or turn the solenoid into a plug. You know what? I might actually turn the solenoid into a plug. I'm never gonna need this. If it comes down to destroying this, fucks up the operation of my transmission, then I'll order another one and I'll deal with it from there. I'll probably have to weld this hole shut, not a big deal. Hey, there we go. Oh, it is a solid steel case. Ooh. Okay. Hey, there we go. Tee-hee plunger goat. Oh, okay. Now I'm gonna zip this bit off here, I think, and then weld that hole on both sides. I think we'll be fine. Alright, so here's what we ended up with. It's a cute little plug with two flats on the side so you can still tighten it in. I put just a teeny bit of silicone around the edge of that just so I really hope it doesn't leak. Now we can go stick that back in the side of the transmission. Pretty simple, it's going to go right back in the same spot. Saves me from trying to figure out what thread that is and whatever else. Problem solved. Now we can get back to fitting this stupid thing. For sake of example, I want to show you how fast I can get this engine back in that truck from where it is now. That's as far out as it's going to go. I figure I've done it so many fucking times, shit just go right in. Install. Well, it's more or less where it's going to sit. I lied, I gotta pull it back out so I can bend the transmission tunnel. I forgot I was gonna do that before I put it back in, but I'm stupid. Let's pull it back out. Whatever. So if you've ever done any swap in an S10, you'll know there's not a lot of clearance anywhere. Yes, this is a 4-cylinder, but this truck was designed with a 4-cylinder that had a 60-degree V6 bell housing. This is obviously a small block bell housing. And because of the angle I have to tilt it at to match my rear end, it is kind of interfering with the floor. And if you're familiar with S10 V8 swaps especially, you can see there's a lip right here. My fingers kind of go up about ½ an inch, and 99% of the time you have to fold that under. I am gonna do that just to save a little bit of frustration. So I'm gonna grab some hammers, beat that under, and then we'll put this back in here again. It doesn't need much, just enough to fold it right back. Good enough for me. And now, because I want to show you that it's not just a fluke, we're going to slap that back in there in real time again, because I'm just like that. Oh yeah. That opened that up a ton. Oh, that's beautiful. And now, the painstaking process, sticking a jack underneath, tilting it back and forth until I find just the right driveline angle. You watch me do that with the rear end, I'm not doing it again. So we're gonna jump cut to lane. This is kind of where it needs to be. Go. Here's how particular I'm getting about this. I am currently trying to match the transmission output to the rear end. I also like aesthetics, and I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to things like this, if doing the rear end wasn't a little obvious. So right now the bubble is off to one side, so it is, you know, in theory a little high on that side, but I'm gonna show you how crazy I am, because nobody thinks about this. I'm literally just gonna touch it with my middle finger, and watch the bubble. There, it's centered about right there. Oh, it's actually moving as it swings. And this is how much I'm holding that. That's it. That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. This is how particular I'm being about the engine and the rear end, because I want my driveline to look and function perfect. Aside from that, the fitment's going pretty good. Might have to cut more out of the floor yet, because it's trying to run into everything, like especially up in the front of the tunnel there. That's probably gonna have to come out. And then I don't know if I'll have room for the drive shaft, so I might have to cut all of this out as well. We'll see when we get there. Man, that is a hole. Holy shit. Something else is hitting. What is it? I need all this room here for the shifter anyways, so this is gonna have to be completely rebuilt. I already know that, that's fine. So I had a little bit of a sudden realization. I've been stuffing this thing in here kind of as it sits. As you can see, my crane is at the very back of the engine for tilt and balance, because I'm trying to balance the engine this way, left, right, and then side to side as well. So it's in line with the diff, it looks level in the engine bay, and then the driveline's also in line with the rear end. It's currently not actually. I've been jacking the end of the transmission up to get it to match. I just realized I'm kind of stupid, so I put some wheels on the back. I'm gonna drop the ass end of the truck on the ground and see if that'll give me the exact angle I need, or at least a little closer, because trying to jack up the transmission is really driving me nuts. I'm just gonna do a preliminary check, stick it on the diff, see what it's at, and then we'll check on the transmission to see if it's any closer. Oh no. Oh, there's a spider crawling on me. Oh. I'm not necessarily scared of spiders, but when it's like right here on you when you're under a truck, ugh. That was a big motherfucker too. I don't know where it went or if I killed it. Yeah, let's just pass on from that one. In other news, the truck is still about a degree out from the transmission, so I think I'm gonna jack the front end up a bit to combat it, because I'd rather work with having the engine and trans free hanging, you know, within this much of a degree of the rear end versus trying to play with the transmission, because then it's right where it needs to be and it's way easier to deal with, so let's just do that. Now, for those of you asking, oh, well, why don't you just re-rig the engine and transmission to sit properly so that it's within the range of this? Well, I'm picky, and if you can see here, the engine where it's currently sitting is perfectly level left to right. I know it's a bubble level, it's not exactly accurate, but it's better than nothing. So I'd rather keep this the same so I don't have to screw with that than try to change everything and redo that. So yeah, don't judge me. Just realized something. Because my diff is hard mounted and parallel to the frame, I can align this outside of the truck. I just have to align the truck to this, and then I can stuff it in and it should be good, right? All right, it wouldn't be an AK Strem video if something wasn't a little ghetto. It's sitting on dollies on blocks, which looks sketchy because it is, but you see the safety here is the block here and there, stopping the truck from rolling. And the good news, this ridiculous angle that the truck is currently sitting on should, in theory, make the input of the rear end and the output of the transmission have the exact same angle, which saves any other variable. The engine's sitting perfectly level, so I should be able to just make mounts as it sits and call it good. You can see 0, difference of the frame that I have been using. We're within 0.2 or 0.1 of a degree. It changes depending on where you turn this thing. So it's close enough. We are sitting down by half a degree, so the transmission needs to come just up, which I can work with. That's fine. I am happy with that. It's better than the 2 to 3 degrees I was moving it before. So I'm gonna go set you up, play with this for a bit, and then when I'm ready to make some mounts, I'll come back.